Greetings, everyone, and welcome. It is Sunday, March the 2nd, early afternoon here in the United States East Coast, early evening in Ukraine. And today is a history-making day. The European Union, the UK, they have stood up strong and mighty, and we're going to be talking about that. I've got video for you. The meetings with the Securing Our Future conference have concluded. Isn't it interesting? It wasn't a slugfest. It wasn't out in front of the media to look like a debacle that we saw in the United States, but it was orderly and it was powerful. And I have the results for you. And I can tell you that right now, as I'm recording this, President Volodymyr Zelensky is meeting with King Charles. This has been a beautiful day for Ukraine, and this has been a beautiful day for the free world, and this has been a beautiful day for people that are fighting for truth and for justice. So thank you. Let's jump right in. Yesterday, for some reason, the channel exploded, woke up with so many new subscribers and comments and views, and all I can say is thank you. Keep going, keep sharing, keep pushing. We work inside Ukraine, and we're here to bring people together, not to divide people. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Let's jump right into it. Thank you. That's where I want to start. Now, Securing Our Future happened. I want to come back to that, and I will actually tell you who was there. It's such a powerful group of people that was there, world leaders out of the European Union and the UK. We'll come back to it, but I want to lay the groundwork first, because after the debacle in the White House, many people are wondering, I haven't heard anything from Vladimir Putin. I haven't heard anything from Moscow. I haven't heard anything from Lavrov. Well, there has been comment inside Russia, and there has been comment from the Kremlin, and that's where I want to start. Moscow has given a reaction. What is the reaction? Moscow is pleased with the dispute between Zelensky and Trump, which will distract attention from the war in Ukraine and further bring fractures to Western relationships. Moscow plans to focus on potential economic ties between Russia and the United States, which are already initiated privately. Now, guys, you could have guessed this already for sure. When you talked about the mineral deal that is now at this point a complete failure and off the table, I'll validate that for you in just a few moments. It was just a day later that Russia offered their own larger mineral deal for the United States. And of course, Donald Trump looking for dollars. They probably are already negotiating on some type of mineral deal, even in the occupied territories of Ukraine right now, which is going to be liberated. We stand for that truth and for that sovereign border of Ukraine. So that is the Moscow reaction right now. Of course, they're pleased. They don't have to open their mouth. They don't have to say anything. Just let the Western relationships fracture and try to put all of the onus on Volodymyr Zelensky. But that is not working, and the world is proving it. That's the Moscow reaction. Now, how about some reality? I want to lay this groundwork first, because if all you're doing is watching media, especially conservative media here in the United States and the MAGA group, all you're hearing is about how evil Volodymyr Zelensky is and how much of a liar he is, and all he wants to do is be a thief and a bandit and a beggar. They have no reality of what is happening inside Ukraine and around the world, and they have no reality of what is happening even inside the White House and the Capitol building there in the United States. This is reality. This is Times Square in New York. There was a rally for Ukrainians, but the reality, even larger scale, this was happening everywhere. Additionally, from this, the White House, those in leadership now have to start to try to do some damage control, because if they're not blind, which they may be, they are seeing the massive support for Ukraine, even from Republicans. Even from some Republicans. Of course, the MAGAs have drunk the Kool-Aid for the most part, but the Republicans and, of course, the Democrats and people around the globe supporting Ukraine. Interesting, there was a result, and this was shown on CNN, of a Smerconish.com poll. Who bears the most responsibility for the Oval Office argument? Donald Trump, 50%, J.D. Vance, 42%, all equally, Volodymyr Zelensky, 4%. The bottom line is 92% of those polled, 79,312 votes, voted that it was Trump and J.D. Vance's fault. Well, I guess, if you really watched it with an open mind, you would have to be deaf and blind not to recognize that it was completely Donald Trump's fault. And more importantly, JD Vance really stepping out of line as the vice president. The bottom line is it falls on the president of the United States. That's it. 4% blaming Zelensky. So what does the United States have to do? They have to start a smear campaign against Zelensky. That's their response. CBS News poll, YouGov, Russia-Ukraine conflict. This is the 26th to the 28th of February. Who do you support? 52% polled support Ukraine, 4% support Russia, 44% neither. So let's take the 44% off the table. And yes, we're going to be coming back to the meeting in the EU. It's going to blow you away with the statements that are coming out, but we need to lay the groundwork here first. 52% support Ukraine. Okay, great. That's a majority. But the bottom line is, if you were a good leader, you have to look at only 4% support Russia. And when you come out and you state, I want to sit between, and these are equal parties, and between Zelensky and between Putin, and we have to look at it as an equal players here. No, we don't look at it as equal players. Russia and the terrorist Putin invaded Ukraine. 4% on this CBS News poll are supporting Russia. Hello? What are you listening to? Of course, that just makes you want to think, well, there are some deals behind the scenes. There's something going on behind the scenes, and then everybody goes down the conspiracy trail, which may or may not be valid. I do not know. I do not chase conspiracy theories. I chase truth. And the reality is many more Americans stand with Ukraine than the world recognizes. And I'm talking a broad spectrum of political backgrounds, religious affiliations, ethnicities stand with Ukraine, and that has been validated. So of course they have to smear like crazy. Here are some of the things that have been coming out leading up to the meeting in London. He's defiant. Rubio accused Zelensky of derailing efforts for peace talks. Waltz saying he is too focused on nuance and wants to argue about everything. Zelensky must either come to his senses and return to the negotiating table in gratitude, or someone else must lead the country to do this. And then the head of the U.S. Treasury Department stating the broken mineral agreement between America and Ukraine is not currently under review. Now, don't take it from me. I want you to listen to this. This is Waltz talking, and what you're getting ready to hear is unbelievable.
Clearly, solely focused on believing he needs to fact check and correct every nuance. It's like a ex-girlfriend that wants to argue, everything that you said 9 years ago, rather than moving the relationship.
Excuse me, sir. It's just like he wants to fact check everything. Listen to that one more time really quickly.
Clearly, solely focused on believing he needs to fact check and correct every nuance.
We can stop it right there. And then he talks about some old girlfriend. Yes, that's Walt speaking. He needs to fact check everything. Ladies and gentlemen, because you guys there in the White House and the administration have lied about Zelensky. He is not a thief. He is not a bandit. He does not have homes in the Canary Islands. He does not have $750 billion under his mattress. He is fighting for his country where people are being wiped off that nation every day. That's why he even spoke about it. When you talk about land, it's not land to us. It's homes. It's people's lives. It's the future. It's their generational history. You have no concept of what we are fighting against, this evil terroristic regime led by Putin coming out of the Kremlin. And here you see Waltz stating all he wants to do is fact check everything. Yes, because you call him a dictator, Donald Trump. MTG. Secondly, you refer to wrong math nonstop. It is not $350 billion. Let's fact check, because if we do not fact check, then the lies just compound, and then the world really doesn't understand what is going on. So you know what? These guys are showing their own intentions here, and it's very obvious. The United States, after that debacle, they have to start smearing Zelensky. Why? Because today he's standing here with British Prime Minister Starmer. Zelensky's there, Italian Prime Minister Meloni, French President Macron, Chancellor of Germany Scholz, Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez, Polish Prime Minister Tusk, Prime Minister of Czech Republic Fiala, Prime Minister of Sweden Kristersson, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau, Turkish Foreign Minister Fidan, Prime Minister of Norway Gahr Store, Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen, Dutch Prime Minister Schoof, Acting President of Romania Boyan, President EU Commission Ursula von der Leyen, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. That's who he's standing with today. So how can all of these people and these great world leaders be wrong and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Waltz, and these clowns that are sitting there spewing these lies, they're right? Are they right just because they're Americans? I'm an American. They're wrong on this. I'm a conservative. They're wrong on this. This is so easy to see. It's obvious to see. These world leaders are standing. Now, this was called the Securing Our Future. It didn't last long. They came, they met, they were intentional, and we already have the results of that meeting. But hey, let's take it another step. You're calling him a fact checker and a nuance chaser and a liar. Hello, he's standing with King Charles. Immediately after this meeting with these great European world leaders, he then goes with this honorary meeting of King Charles. There he is. Meeting with the King of England. No questions there about his suit and tie. No questions about his attire. And he's standing with the king. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is great news, and it's going to be interesting to see how the United States responds to it. Now, what started to happen? I have the video of Starmer. I have a video of Donald Tusk that you must see. It's coming up in just a minute. What did Starmer say? Here's what he said. EU will not recognize agreements like Minsk. Starmer, period. Minsk, gone. Ukraine to get access to 1.6 billion in UK export financing to buy anti-aircraft missiles. He also was speaking about the loaning of 5,000 air defense missiles. Additionally, he said, this is so beautiful here. Britain and France will take the lead to develop the plan to end the war in Ukraine. Now, remember, this is anti what Donald Trump says. Donald Trump says, I will end the war in Ukraine. In fact, we could go historically, and Donald Trump was saying, I will end the war in Ukraine even before I assumed the Oval Office. And then it was, I will end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. And then it was, I'm going to send Keith Kellogg. It looks like we're going to need about 90 days. And then it came out, I have no idea how this thing is going to end because there never was a Trump plan. There never was a peace plan for Ukraine. What there was there was a plan to rape Ukraine for the resources that are in there and force upon them some type of unjust peace with disregard to their sovereignty and to their nation and to their people and culture. That's what the Trump plan was. Now, Britain and France stating, we will develop the plan to end the war in Ukraine. The goal of today's meeting, he said, was to unite European allies for this purpose. And I can tell you, mission accomplished. European allies rallied together today. He did state this agreement must include Russia, but it, meaning Russia, cannot, and let's say this, will not dictate the terms of these agreements. Europe will continue to supply weapons to Ukraine. British Prime Minister Starmer, I'm going to play the video for you in one moment. I'm just prepping your ears what you're going to hear. There will be European participation in the peace process, including peacekeepers in Ukraine in the format of, highlighted for you to see, boots on the ground and planes in the sky. British Prime Minister Starmer. Isn't it going to be so interesting to see what Putin says? And I will be watching it, guys. I watch Russian media nonstop. I'm talking about the television channels, not Solovyov and the propaganda. I'm looking for certain reports from Zarubin, directly from Putin or Lavrov, and I will get those to you because now it's exactly what they didn't want. They want Ukraine demilitarized. They want Ukraine with a 50,000 member standing army, and now British Prime Minister Starmer comes out and says, no. Boots on the ground and planes in the sky for a just and secure future for Ukraine. Look under his desk right there. Securing our future, standing together. Today, Ukraine moved closer to the European Union than at any moment in the history of the world. That's a fact. So you will see that on video in just a second. Starmer announces new meeting with Trump on Ukraine peace plan. Of course, this is so good. I love it. We do need to work with America now. We agreed that we will meet with the American president very soon to work together until we have a common plan. Pay attention. Common plan, not an American plan, not a Trump plan. Trump going to be known as a peacemaker, started World War III in the Oval Office. Your plans do not work, sir. We have a common plan. And for those out there talking about Trump as a chess player and he's 10 moves ahead, I'm not too sure about that, guys. Trump showed his true colors in that meeting in the Oval Office. And the last time I checked, chess players are smooth under pressure and calculated. They are not angered and they are not demeaning. They beat you with that pierce saying, I already know what's going to happen. And that's not, and this is a side note, that's not what we're seeing from Donald Trump. And I love it that Starmer says we will work together until we have a common plan. This is not a moment to beat around the bush. No more wasting time. This is a moment to unite for lasting peace. Now, you are prepared. Here's Starmer.
First, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second, we agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security, and Ukraine must be at the table. Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion. Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing. We're working with the US on this point after my meeting with President Trump last week. And let me be clear, we agree with the President on the urgent need for a durable peace. Now we need to deliver together. Finally, we agreed that leaders will meet again very soon to keep the pace behind these actions and to keep working towards this shared plan. We are at a crossroads in history today. This is not a moment for more talk. It's time to act, time to step up and lead, and to unite around a new plan for a just and enduring peace. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you have a press conference. That's how you state it clearly. Starmer, very clearly, he says, we need to act now. And listen, we're willing in the future to put the boots on the ground and the planes in the air. And you can see that's the title of the video tonight, because it's the reality. This is where we're at, guys. This has to stop. No more beating around the bush. No more wasting time. Let's get down to business. Now, I promised you guys a Donald Tusk video, and this is going to be unbelievable. But let me go here first. Schultz also coming out strongly stating, and of course, his party is now lost, but right now he's still as Chancellor. Russia's demand for Ukraine's demilitarization is unacceptable, Schultz. You know, the new administration that's coming into power there in Germany will continue with that narrative and probably take it even to a stronger level. Russia's demand for Ukraine's demilitarization is unacceptable. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Tusk. Europe has woken up and is now unanimously speaking about supporting Ukraine. the need for close transatlantic cooperation and strengthening the EU's eastern border. Tusk. Okay, you say, well, that's a great statement. That's powerful. But man, you had me set up like it's some gold. Oh, it's gold. Here it is.
If you haven't noticed, listen to this. 500 million Europeans are asking 300 million Americans to defend them from 140 million Russians. Let that sink in. If you can count, count yourself. Start with self-awareness, not isolation, but knowing your full potential. Europe, what we're missing today isn't economic or population edge, but belief in our status as a true global power.
Well stated, Donald Tusk. He says we're 500 million strong and we're asking a nation of 340 or 330 million to defend against a nation of 140 million. Something's wrong with that picture. Do the math. You can add it up yourself. He says what we need now is belief in ourselves. We need to rally together and to come together. And that's why we're here. That's why I do this every day, because I believe that stronger is when we are standing together, when we take the small things that divide us, whether it be religious beliefs, political beliefs. Of course, everyone has their opinions and all of that. That's great. But we have to lay those things down at times in our life and stand together for what binds us together and what makes us stronger. And that is what we are doing. And Donald Tusk nailed it right there when he said that. It's time for us to evaluate and to show and have belief in ourselves and the strength that we have. Mark Rutte also there saying there is no peace agreement for Ukraine yet. We need to decide on guarantees from Europe. No mention of America. NATO Secretary General Rutte, after the security conference in London, European leaders have declared their readiness, he says, to increase defense spending. Ladies and gentlemen, as dark as it was 48 hours ago, what a new chapter has happened. Of course, the meeting with Starmer yesterday privately, but European Union rallying, Zelensky standing with King Charles. Now, what do? We wait and see the results. What will be the response from the United States? What will be the response from Russia? What will be the response from Europe as they follow through on this? And I firmly believe that they are. And all I can say is, this is a good day for Ukraine. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping us grow. Thank you for sharing, liking, and commenting. These are some of the soldiers that we work with. They are fighting there on the front lines right now. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing this on your social media. Thank you to my mod team. They do an amazing job. And all of you be blessed. We'll be back at a live anytime things are unfolding quickly or the next update. Be blessed.